Good afternoon, everybody present on this very interesting webinar with our guest, Christian Schweizer, very well-known architect, especially in the field of the ancient science of architecture, Sthapatya Veda, Maharishi Sthapatya Veda. Just first, I would like to greet all of you on behalf of the Office of the Ministry of the Ayush and ICCR at the Embassy of India in Croatia. And first to greet our dear guest, Christian Schweizer, and to say a few words about him. So Christian Schweizer, he founded his architectural office together with his wife Sabine in 2000 as freelance architects and certified Maharishi Vastu consultants. The architectural office specializes in the Vedic building philosophy of Vastu. Vastu is an ancient system of design and construction based on natural law, contained in the Vedic discipline of Sthapatya Veda. Vastu architecture provides dimensions, formulas, and orientations for homes that promote cosmic harmony and support individuals in achieving peace, prosperity, and good health. Daily individual life is interconnected with cosmic life and following an evolutionary path. So this is a very important aspect of our life, our existence, and how that existence is organized on this planet Earth. First, the first house which we have is our body, and the practice of yoga, and especially the asana practice, is the science of Sthapatya Veda of the human body. We can say how to reconstruct the human body according to the cosmic principles which are structuring the harmony in the whole universe. And one old saying is, as is the microcosmos, so is the macrocosmos, yata pinde tata brahmande. From that perspective, there is a great science developed how to also structure our second house, and this is the physical house in which we are living with this body, so that house is properly established. Stha. We have in Ayurveda the word swastha, health. Health means to be established. Stha means to be established, and swa means the wholeness. To be established in the wholeness is the health, and also to have established our place of living in harmony with the cosmic laws which guide the life in the whole universe is also very important aspect of the health, of our health, and has a great influence. So the Christian Schweizer is a great master in that field, many years of experience, and we are very happy that he is today with us to give us his knowledge about Maharishi Vastu principles, and especially explained on European house design, and to have some practical advices from him, which can help us to have a better quality of the living on this planet Earth. So thank you very much, Christian, for being with us, and I would like to invite you to give presentation.
Thank you very much. You have already read the first slide. The topic is today Maharishi Vastu principles explained on European house designs and practical tips for everybody. And I'm very pleased that Jatranko has invited me to give a talk on Vastu and my many years of experience as a Vastu architect in his series of lectures. The first topic is the individual is cosmic. We as human beings are cosmic by nature on both levels. We are cosmic at a level of intelligence or our consciousness, but we are also cosmic at the level of our body. How often have we looked up to the stars in the night sky and asked ourselves, how big is the universe? Is it unlimited? And who has created it? There is a reason why we are attracted to the distant planets and galaxies. The same laws that created and maintain nature around us and the galaxy have also structured our human body. The same laws that guide the universe also guide our human body and intelligence. And that is why Maharishi is saying, because the individual is cosmic, everything about individual life should be in full harmony with cosmic life. Maharishi's Tapatya Veda gives formulas, dimensions, and orientation to the buildings that will provide cosmic harmony and support to the individual for his peace, prosperity, and good health, daily life in accord with natural law, daily life in an evolutionary direction. Quote from Maharishi. The most important principle is the orientation of the building towards east, towards the enlivening, nourishing rays of the rising sun. The human brain is sensitive to the cardinal directions and reacts positively to the influence of the rising sun. A person facing east shows an increased flow of neurons in the hypothalamus, and this increased neuronal activity from cell to cell indicates that one is more alert and more creative when facing east. The sun's life-supporting energy is strongest at sunrise. Sunrise stands for optimism, the beginning and blossoming of life, and the energy of life. For example, this building faces the rising sun, faces east. Facing east means the long side of the building is facing towards the east and the entrance is facing east. We can really see that this building welcomes the rising sun with the architectural structure. That means the long side is facing east and you see all the glazing there. And there is one research that was made in hospitals that persons who are in a hospital on the east side of the hospital, they can get out of the hospital 4 to 5 days earlier because this eastern light is so much healthy, enlivening, and healing. And that we see very nicely in that building that lets all the eastern light deep into the structure of the building. Also, this building here, you can really see. And this building also really literally says good morning to the rising sun and welcomes the new day. What is very auspicious in Vastu that we have, of course, an eastern entrance, but then also a balcony or a veranda towards the east. And the dweller, they can go out in the morning from the bedroom to the balcony and stand there and look at the sunrise, at this very nice orange and yellowish color of the sunrise, do the pranayama there on the balcony in the upper floor, and do asanas and even meditation there. That is the idea of Vastu, to face towards the east, towards the rising sun. East light of the rising sun always spreads optimism and vitality. When we are driving a car or sitting in a train, we prefer to look in the direction of the movement. Well, the Earth also has a direction of movement. The Earth rotates around its own axis once a day, and the perimeter at the equator is 40,000 kilometers, and the Earth rotates on its axis once a day. That means once within 24 hours. At the equator, the Earth rotates constantly, therefore, with a speed of 1,700 kilometers permanently towards the east. Every day, every minute, the whole year, since hundreds and thousands of years, there is this rotation, this movement of every spot on the Earth towards the east. Therefore, and at the equator, we have a perimeter of 40,000 kilometers. And where we are located, we have about a perimeter of 24,000 kilometers. That means we are moving there with about 1,000 kilometers per hour towards the east. We don't notice that, but there is this movement, it's constantly there. And that is why when we are building a house, we place it in such a way that it's oriented to the cardinal points, and the long side and the entrance is facing east. There are some people, when they are driving a car or sitting in a car or sitting in a train, and they're looking backward or looking somewhere else, then they get a bad stomach. Yeah. But when they are sitting in the train on the aeroplane and looking into the direction of the movement, looking forward, then they are okay. That means also for a house, when the house is facing the movement of the earth, then we are in tune with natural law. But if it is shifted, the building, it's like sitting then in a train and looking somewhere else, looking backwards. And that could create disruption in the human physiology. And here we actually see the long side of the building facing east, and we see also a Vastu fence, which is facing the cardinal points, is the eastern gate of the Vastu fence. And when we live in a Vastu home, we should also face during all our activities there. For example, when sleeping, then the head should face also east and the feet are pointing towards the west. That is one option. The other option is that the head also could be south and the feet are towards the north. But when you are, for example, cooking in the kitchen and cutting vegetables, or sitting in the office, studying or writing some work, you always should face east, because then the hypothalamus in the brain is most active, most efficient. And like this, the whole physiology also is most efficient and most productive. And here this principle of facing east, you can see also very nicely on that building. It's just a rectangle cube aligned to the cardinal points. And this is the east facade. It has a lot of windows there. It even has a porch towards the east, and upstairs the balcony where the people could come out in the morning, look at the sunrise and do their pranayama there. And having a porch towards the east with traditional classical columns, it's also a nice Vastu feature, because that refines the eastern facade and also refines the eastern light. And you also see here that the whole east side is here glazed of this conservatory. And I've been showing this photo because that's a very interesting house, which you now see here on the side plan. All what is green is the land which the owner has bought. You see that it is odd shaped. It is not regularly, the road here is shifted. So the first thing what we do is we define the biggest square that fits on the land. That's the Vedic geometry, that's the Vedic mandala, and that is called the Vastu. That means out of an odd-shaped land, we create first an ideal land, and we call this the Vastu. We mark it with a fence. The fence could be a wall or could be a nice traditional steel fence, or could be covered with hedges, but there should be a structure which is at least 72 centimeters high. And then we can enter the structure here from the east side. That is one option. And the other option is we can enter the Vastu from the north. Actually, what you see here, where this little 2 is mentioned, that is the Brahmastan, that's the center point of that Vastu. And the building itself is on the west side facing this Brahmastan here. Here we see again this ideal land, yeah. It was just a green meadow, and the first thing what the client did, he put the biggest possible square and marked it with a fence and placed then the building within that Vastu. And there's always a distance between the house and the Vastu fence. And we see here again, the Vastu fence is close to the west and the south, and there is an eastern entrance here. Again, we see very nicely this porch towards the east, because that is the face of the building. And that always should be nicest because it is looking to the rising sun, to Surya, to the rising sun. Of course, there are also other structures possible, that are apartment buildings. That means many flats, many apartments are in one Vastu house. And they even have a northern entrance for the upper apartments. There are 2 apartments in the upper floor. They have a separate entrance. And the ground floor, we enter here from the east side. And there could be one Vastu fence, which is marking 2 Vastus. Yeah. So it's a very efficient way to use the land. The cars, the garage, the parking always should be outside the Vastu. But we see nicely here that there is an open Brahmastan in the center, so that the whole building is flooded with natural light to these skylights here. What we see here is that the globe is covered by a grid of energy lines. And these lines run from the north to the south pole and parallel to the equator. And this grid is called the spherical harmonics. That means the whole globe is divided in bigger squares and smaller squares and smaller squares. And a Vastu is just a small square on our globe of the Earth. And building like this means living in accord with natural law, with the cosmic laws of nature. Yes, here we see this building again. The layout of the house should be aligned to north, south, and east, west. And here we see again this Vastu fence here on the east side with the eastern gate. Actually, that building is an L shape, which is opening towards the northeast. That means there is a main building, which is facing east, and there's a second little conservatory or glass house, which is facing north, and there is then a nice platform in front here, which is opening towards the northeast. Again here, a big glazed window, and the whole house is flooded with this auspicious light, which is coming from the east. Now we go to the, there's one more interesting thing which I wanted to tell you about this slide here. What does it mean to orient towards the east? We always mean geographical east and north. Yeah, that means pointing towards the movement of the Earth. Yeah, towards the rotation of the Earth, and that is what is shown in this program Google Earth. If you have installed Google Earth on your computer and you open it, then all the houses are aligned, all the pictures, all the diagrams, what you see there is aligned to geographical east. So if you want to find out whether your house is shifted, just open Google Earth, and your keyboard you can press the button N, yeah, and then Google Earth is shifting the rotation exactly to east, and like this you can check whether your house is rotated or not. Or if you are looking for a land, whether it's auspicious or not, you can also do this with Google Earth. Google Earth is showing geographical east. Here now the topic of site selection. So if you want to build a Vastu house and looking for a site, then you should have an unobstructed view towards the east, towards the healthy rays of the rising sun. And the delay of the sunrise should not be more than 18 minutes. That means there should be no high hills or elevations towards the east. And that angle, what you see here, is about 18 degrees. There should be no hill towards the east, which is higher than this upper line here. In Vastu, we have 2 options for the entrances. One is from the east. That is the most favorable entrance into the house and into the Vastu. And this has an influence of enlightenment, of affluence and fulfillment. east is just there where the sun is rising and bringing the whole energy. And it's a very optimistic feeling when in the morning you wake up by the first rays of the rising sun, then the whole room is filled with optimism. And exactly this quality we want to have in the bedroom. And like this, with this quality, we want to start the day. The other option is to have the entrance towards the north, because there is the polar star. There are the stars running around the polar star, and the the stars are also very important for the growth of the plants and also for us to orient. And there are 7 stars which are turning around the polar stars. These are the 7 rishis, and that is why the north is also very important. So out of these 8 directions, only 2 are auspicious. What we should completely avoid is the southern entrance. South stands for negative influences and problems and all suffering. And on the west entrance also should be avoided, because this has the influence of poverty, lack of creativity and vitality. On the west side, the sun is setting down, the energy is going down, the day is going to an end. That means life, energy is settling down, is going to an end. In the west has then this quality that as a dweller, our energy is going down, that the health is going down, that the vitality is going down. That is why Maharishi said we should leave a house that has a southern or western entrance. We should leave as if it would be burning, or at least we should close then this door and open in our house the eastern and the northern door. That is one interesting thing, is that we all know that we have 3 main states of consciousness. That is our awakening time, the awakening consciousness, the deep sleep, and the dreaming state of consciousness. And when we move from one state to the other, we always experience a 4th state of consciousness. That is the transcendental consciousness. That means there are 3 main states, and when we come from one to the other, there is a gap between these 2 states, and their transcendental values are coming to us. And that is the same at sunrise. The day changes from night to day, and there is a gap exactly then when the sun is rising over the horizon. And exactly at that time, when at sunrise, very special, very transcendental values are coming to us in enlivening our physiology. And this is a very spiritual time for getting enlightenment. And when we build a Vastu house and orient our building exactly to this direction, then we get all these qualities of enlightenment in our physiology. There's another research that shows that when we are looking to the sunrise in the morning and we see this orange, yellowish, reddish sunlight in the sky, then our physiology is changing from sleeping state of consciousness to waking state of consciousness. That means you should look in the morning at the sunrise so that your physiology is waking up. If you don't look in the morning at sunrise, then the whole day you don't get really awake, because you are missing that very auspicious colors in the morning, which come to our eye and enliven our hypothalamus and our physiology. So we don't want to have a hill towards the east, because that obstructs the rising sun. So the best land which you could find is a land which is sloping slightly towards the east, because then we can see the sunrise. And if a land is sloping to the east, then most likely the water is flowing there to the east. So when you are finding a land where there is water towards the east, where there's a lake or river to the east, and it's an eastern slope, then this is an indication that this land is very, very auspicious. That is why in Vastu land evaluation, it is always good to have a water body to the east or to the north. North is also fine here. Now we come to the next topic, and that is the right placement of rooms in the floor plan. And that has to do with the sun. Yeah, the energy that reaches the Earth from the sun every 2 minutes correspondent to the entire annual consumption of mankind. That means the total energy of all cars, all lighting, the heating energy of all buildings, everything that industry consumes in 1 year corresponds to the energy that the sun sends and radiates to us within 2 minutes. Yeah, so we see the sun has a huge, huge influence on the Earth and us. And that is why in Vastu, it is said, in Vastu teaching, it is stated, the strongest influence of natural law on Earth comes from the sun. On its path from east to west, from sunrise to sunset, the energy generates different qualities of energy. The house should be designed in such a way that the different energies of the sun correspond to the specific function and activities for each room. Then natural law always supports every aspect of our daily activity. Here I copied one diagram, a Vedic geometry of the Vastu Bible called the Manasara. That's a Vedic geometry. Yeah. And when the ancient rishis built in earlier days a house, so they were looking whether they can find a nice land, for example, that it's slightly sloping towards the east, maybe there is a little river towards the east. And the first thing they did, they marked then the land with 4 poles in the corners and put there a fence, and that was then the Vastu. And when they entered then this Vastu and walked around, then they felt different qualities according to the cardinal directions. For example, on the east, when they were standing in this Vastu on the east, yeah, which we see here red, then they had a feeling of royalty, that all good and all auspicious qualities are coming in there. And they just give it a name, Indra, for example. And that's why this place is called Maha Indra. Maha means big, and Indra means the king, yeah, of all the deities. And if you have the entrance of the Vastu house from the east, where this spot is shown, then you have all these qualities of Maha Indra, all the best qualities you will get into the house. Yeah. Or for example, here in the northeast, there is Ishana. Yeah, Ishana means unboundedness. That's the Ishana Stan, the place of unboundedness, of unlimited, of unlimited. Yeah, yes. And when you place there the meditation room, then you have the feeling in the meditation room of unboundedness, and it's exactly that what we want. Or for example, here towards the north, they had the feeling of wealth, of richness, and they called it Balata. Balata means the thresholder of all the deities of the house, the thresholder. And when you enter from the north, then you will get all these good qualities of wealth into the house. That is why it is also said that a northern entrance brings you wealth. Like this, the rishis had a feeling for these different qualities in the Vastu, and then they have been writing it down. And this, like this, it is traditionally delivered to us in these books, and we refer to these books and build houses according to this Vedic geometry. And here we see it now in English language. In the northeast, we have the meditation room. There is this feeling of unboundedness, the Ishana. Yeah. In the east, there is the main entrance, because this has all the best qualities. The kitchen is in the southeast, because they had a feeling there of transformation of fire, and the rishis gave them this quality the name of Agni. That means in the southeast here is the quality where the stove should be, where the heating of the building will be. Everything that has to do with transformation is here in the southeast, very good located, like the kitchen, for example. Towards the south, the dining room can be placed. The master room is towards the southwest, because in the southwest, when we look towards the east and look towards the north, then we control the whole house. In the southwest, we are overlooking the whole house and controlling it. That is why the master bedroom could be in the southwest, or the main living room could be towards the southwest, because this area then oversees the whole house. If you have, for example, the guest room in the southwest, or the children's room, then they become the master and they dictate what will be happening in the house. And that absolutely should be avoided. In the west, the sun is setting. That's when the family gathers together in the afternoon or the late evening. And that is why family life can be lived here in a very harmonious way on the west side. In the northwest, here, it is the place where Varuna is residing. And that is a place of instability. It is wind, it is shaking. If you have there, for example, your main master room, yeah, then the health and the income will also change and will not be stable. But for a guest room, it is perfect. The guest is coming and going. So it's a nice place here in the northwest. And the intellect is very lively in the north. That is why the study room or the library can be in the north here. And one client took this 3x3 grid, which you see here, literally, and has built this Vastu home. That means there is one main house, which has walls, so that inside there are a grid of 3x3. We call it 3x3 padas, with the eastern entrance. And there is a veranda all around the house, so you can step out of the house to all directions. And it's a bungalow, and it is glazed all around so that you can look at the surroundings everywhere. And here you see also the Vastu fence around, which is melting together with the landscape architect, and it's not an obstruction. And like this house is connecting the individual life with cosmic life. One more topic is the Brahmastan. The Brahmastan is the silent, quiet center of the house, and it's exactly in the middle of the Vastu house. We keep the Brahmastan free from any function and do not place walls or pillars there. Many structures in nature have a silent core of intelligence, and the activity of the structure is arranged around the core. So we see in this structure of the galaxies and the solar systems, cells and atoms. This core is called the Brahmastan, or place where wholeness resides. As in the structure of nature, there's also a Brahmastan in a Vastu house, and this element helps the building to become a holistic structure of natural law. You see here this silent center in the middle, and then all these functions are placed here around the Brahmastan. And here we have marked the Brahmastan with nice classical columns. There is an opening to the roof so that the whole house is flooded from above with natural light. And we see that the east is also, the west side is also glazed. There is a shine through from east to west through the house. Here we see again the central hall with pillars and the staircase towards the west. But you also can see that the center line from east to west is also free. And there is an opening with a nice gallery above. So the whole house is flooded with natural light. So to make it very easy for you to build a Vastu house, we have created a portfolio, a catalog with portfolio designs. And like this, you can start it very easily. So you can let us know what size of house you want, whether you want to have a 3-bedroom house or 4, or only a bungalow. You give all the specifications for this Vastu home to us. And then we look in the portfolio whether one of these houses fits for you. And then you get this floor plan and can start from this design. So you don't have to start from the very scratch, but you get already a final plan, which you and your local architect, or together with me, can adjust it so that it is aligned with your individual ideas. Yes, here we see again such a Vastu home that has actually a lot of Vedic elements. We see this brackets here as a Vedic arch. We see here the rays of the rising sun as bars in the windows in the upper floor. So one client looked at that portfolio house and selected it, and then he has built this house. We see again this idea of the rays of the rising sun with a lot of glass in the upper floor, that even the bedroom is flooded with eastern light in the morning. We see the balcony that you can step out. We see the covered entrance area. We see the Vastu fence here. We see actually a classical design with classical pillars and columns. That is also a classical European Vastu home, yeah, with classical designs. You see here a grid of pilasters facing east. That is actually a house in Switzerland, overlooking the Zurich Lake here. And because the Zurich Lake is so nice, they have created here an extension on this side. And to balance it, there's also an extension on the other side. And this extension here to the lake is like a conservatory. And the upper floor, there is a balcony with a glass railing that you can look out from the inside of the house also. This Vastu house is also classical design from Italy. So we like symmetry, and you can see here actually the main house. There is one extension, there's another extension, there's a third extension. So there are several extensions here towards the north and several extensions towards the south, but nevertheless, the elevation is very symmetric. And again, this idea of a porch, of a balcony where you can step out towards the east. And this building I'm showing again because it's a classical design, and the aspect of smrti is very important. Smrti means the memory or remembrance of the wisdom of earlier high cultures and their building cultures. And therefore, it is very good and important that classical building elements, such as classical columns, cornice profiles, and ornaments, are implemented in the house design. Here you see a lot of ornaments, thick cornice profiles on the Vedic plinth and the roof, and also here in the level of the ceiling. Yeah, here you see these classical elements again. This here is a building, a European Vastu home with Vedic designs. Some clients also prefer this. You see here Vedic arches and lotus flowers, and even the fence is designed in a Vedic way. And this is the villa at Meru in the Netherlands for the client, the Raja of India. And that is why, because he's the Raja of India, he preferred a Vedic design. And you see it's very refined and very sophisticated. As it is said in Vastu, when the facade is refined, then also the consciousness of the dweller gets also refined. That means if you always look at Vedic, nice, refined facades, your consciousness also gets enlivened and elevated and refined. This here is a version of a more moderate and more simple but very elegant Vedic element. Here you can see Vedic brackets on top of the pilasters. Yeah, here you see the building again, which I showed in the beginning. There is this one main house, which is facing east. And here you see the glass house, which is facing towards the north. So that's an L-shaped configuration, which is opening towards the northeast. That is the porch with these Vedic elements and the big window towards the east. And to create such nice corbels and brackets, the first thing is what we are doing. We are creating a 3D computer model of such a bracket. Then we mill it out of solid wood. Then we cast a rubber mold. And in this rubber mold, we can pour white marble concrete. And like this, we can copy and replicate such a bracket with very low cost. And like this, we can create such nice porches. That's also a building at the Meru. That's a two-story porch facing towards the rising sun with a Vedic design. Here we see it from the side. And above the windows, we also cast such cobblestones in form of lotus flowers to point out that this is a Vedic design. Again, we see here the Vastu fence towards the east with the Vastu gate here on the east side. And a lot of windows towards the east so that the east light is going deep into the floor plan and brings health to the dwellers. Also these houses inside, they are nicely equipped with marble stones, for example, here as an inlay with a Vedic ornament inlay in the floor. That was the topic Vedic design. Let's look for a moment on European Vastu homes with modern design. This portfolio house you also saw earlier. Yeah, so the client selected this portfolio house and created this house of it. It's a very, very cost-effective house. It's just a cube, but nevertheless, it's very elegant. There is a band of windows under the roof, so the roof seems to be very light and floating above the floor plan. Like this, we can build very nice but very cost-effective buildings. Also, that building in Switzerland is a very simple structure. It has a square footprint and a two-story porch towards the east. The central part is completely glazed. And again, this idea of a floating, big overhanging roof with a band of windows under the roof, so that the roof seems to be floating there. That's the Ayurveda store and office in Switzerland, in Rhein. That is a Vastu building that gets built at the moment, also in Europe. And you see it's very contemporary, but it's 100% Vastu. Yeah. So nature finds many ways to express itself. It's also possible to have it in a contemporary way, in a modern way. And the client liked this very clean design with long lines, yeah, with these white bands which are going around the building. And when you do a Vastu analysis, you see again, there is a rectangle main house with a long side facing east. And there is a bump out extension here towards in the southeast. And an L-shaped configuration is created that is opening towards the northeast. Here we see that building from the south side. This building is will be built in Belgium. It's also very contemporary. It is the materials that are used is only rammed earth and glass without frames. And the surrounding is not touched. It is just that it was found there. And like this, it's a very sustainable building. It has a grass roof on top and with solar panels and only rammed earth and glass. And that's why it's considered to be very sustainable. This building is also just a mere square. how it has been built. It looks very, very modern. It was for a lawyer. And in the upper floor, you see that there is a glass pyramid on top of the roof. The light is falling through this glass pyramid through the whole house. And because he's a lawyer and he needs a lot of registrations for his clients, that's what he's putting there in the attic. But you see this very nice symmetry and central opening. This is also a building, it's not in Europe, but it's in Malaysia. I'm just showing it because I would call it postmodern. And it has a square footprint and has arches to all the 4 cardinal directions. So it has a reference to the Villa Rotonda from Palladio, because there is also a square footprint with a cupola on top and the same porch extending to all 4 cardinal directions. And here the language is again from classical traditional houses. Now, at the end, I would to point out something more about peace palaces, because they're also built according to Vastu. And Maharishi peace palaces are local centers radiating harmony and peace to the whole surrounding area. So group meditations can be done there, or seminars on health and lifestyle can take place here. That is the Peace Palace in Germany. In the upper floor, in the attic, about 20 course participants could reside. In the upper floor, there are some apartments, and in the ground floor, there are big lecture halls and initiation halls and meditation halls. This building has the same functions. It's in Malaysia again, but you see again this topic of veranda extending towards the east with very nice Vedic arches and lotus flowers. That building has 2-story Vedic arches, and it's placed in Lebanon. It's under construction. It will be finished end of this year. And you see it has 3 stories, and the idea was to have at the bottom a 2-story Vedic arch and the top a 1-story Vedic arch, and this gives a very nice proportion, a human proportion. This building I'm showing because the lady client is a meditation teacher, a TM teacher, and her idea was to have one building where she lives and sleeps, but also have integrated there a big meditation hall and integrated an initiation hall. So it's a Vastu home with a meditation center in Italy. So it's a small peace palace. Or even this here is a small peace palace in the Netherlands. It just has a initiation room, a little kitchen, and one big conference hall. And so it's also possible, if you don't have the money to build a big building, you can build such small Vastu peace palaces to give Maharishi's knowledge a house, yeah, that you can teach pure knowledge in such structures. One slide about the Tower of Invincibility. It is a monument to honor Maharishi and Maharishi's technology, and will be built all over the world to bring invincibility to every nation. Wellness is nowadays a big topic, and wellness villages are combining lifestyle with Vastu. That is now coming more and more, and real estate agents are looking for such projects because they can make good money with it. One more slide about Vedic city planning. It is often very difficult to find an ideal land for a Vastu house, and that is why we recommend to plan Vedic peace villages. And like this, you can ensure that the individual land is always ideal and that the land boundaries are exactly aligned with the cardinal points. Here, it's again this topic that you have one big square and smaller squares within. The central area is kept free. That's the Brahmastan of that Vedic village. And this here could be, for example, a peace palace here facing the Brahmastan. There could be offices on the east side that people who are coming from outside, they don't have to drive deep into the village. They could park here. Actually, these are solar panels here where the parking could be underneath. So they could park here and go to the work here on the east side. And all the little dwelling vastus that could be gathered around the Brahmastan, around the Peace Palace. There could be a water feature towards the northeast, and Vedic agriculture could then take place around this Vedic village. That is the idea of Vedic city planning, that you have first a big square and divide it in smaller squares and have the line of grids, and later you will place the roads and the pathways on these grids and keep the central area free. All the roads are then running from geographical north to south and from east to west. And one of such cities, Vedic cities, Vastu cities, peace colonies, is being built now in North Germany, near the Baltic Sea. The village is called Ahrensböck, and you see here again the center of the whole village. That is the Brahmastan here. It is surrounded by 4 main buildings, a little bit apart. There is again a peace palace here, which has 2 other houses. That's Ayurvedic spa and Ayurvedic residence building. And this composition is building an U, which is opening towards the east, towards the rising sun. And here we see the peace palace. Also, the idea was to design a very clean, contemporary, modern peace palace. But nevertheless, there are arches there and a balcony that you can step out in the upper floors. Even in the most upper floor, you can get out here. And on both sides, you see these Ayurveda buildings. And adjacent to that are apartment buildings, which again are designed in an U-shaped way. The U shape is opening towards the east, and each building has about 20 apartments. And all apartment has a nice balcony. The biggest balcony is again here to the east. And this here are the idea for the single family Vastu homes. Again, a very clean design idea with the long side of the buildings facing all east. And to summarize the topic of this talk, what Maharishi said, Maharishi Sthapatya Veda is the most ancient and complete system of architecture and planning according to the solar, lunar, and planetary influence on Earth, with reference to North and South poles and the equator, to connect our individual life with cosmic life, our individual intelligence with cosmic intelligence. And if you want to have more information, you can just Google on our websites. It's called www.vastu.team, or just send me an email to maharishi@vastu.team. So I think we are just right in time, and I hope you have several questions that we can have a lively discussions. So thank you for your audience and your time for listening to the lecture. Thank you very much.
Dear Christian, thank you very much for the beautiful presentation. I think this was a celebration for our eyes to see such a beautiful homes. And it's already inspiring the brainwave in a better way, just looking at it, and what to say about living in such a place. And now there is some time for the questions. Please, if you have any question, to ask Christian.
I have one question.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Jadranko?
Yes.
Okay, I have one question because I'm reconstructing one house now, and there I will open entrance on the east, and I can have two toilets, one on the southwest and one is on the north. So what is your advice to, because to have some remedy for the toilet on the north, or to take it away from the north and have only one toilet? What is your advice? Because I know that a toilet on the north is not a good thing, but to have two toilets is a good thing. But if it is not good, I can take it away from there.
So the first thing what we would do, we would have a more clear, more dense look at the house you are reconstructing, whether it's a good plot, yeah, whether there is no hill towards the east, and very important, whether the house is directly oriented to the cardinal directions. And if the house is tilted more than 5 degrees to the cardinal directions, we cannot do anything, and it's not considered to be Vastu. It is like, for example, pulse reading. Yeah, when you read a pulse and it's completely disturbed, yeah, we cannot do very much. It's the same with the house. So we only can start such reconstruction if the house is aligned to the cardinal directions. So this you can check with Google Earth, or you can send me an email. I can have a look there. And then we also can see if we can do a Vastu consultation. What we don't want to do, we cannot give without seeing the floor plans, yeah, any recommendation. Yeah, maybe exactly in the center of the house, of the main house, there is a wall, yeah, or some pillars. Then anyway, it is not good, yeah. Or if
Yes. But this is old house, and I'm trying to, let's say, I'm trying to make the house, let's say, how can I say, you know, I just want to correct some mistakes, but it's not perfect Vastu house, and I'm aware of this. And
yeah, so for reconstruction, we don't give like this recommendations, because, you know, then the knowledge is getting somehow unimpure and mixed up. Then the next person wants to make this compromise and this compromise. So to make sure that everything is working and that Vastu has its power, we want that all Vastu principles are taken into account. Because if you do now something, renovation there and think it's Vastu, and you have not good experience, yeah, and then immediately people say, see, Vastu is not working, yeah, and this we want to avoid.
Yes, it's true. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I understood. Okay.
Yes, Christian. So I saw some questions there on the chat. One is about remedy for the south entrance or to the west entrance. So they acknowledge and they understand the east is the best. And then in the meantime, while they make a change on the house or the east from the south or the west, what can be some, in the meantime, some remedy useful to neutralize the bad effect from these other entrances?
Yeah, when you enter the house from the south or from the west, you always get these qualities in the house. So there is nothing to say about it. It's like a jacket, yeah, which when you enter a house, you get like a jacket which has several qualities, and this you wear it in the house, yeah. And if you enter from the south, where Yama, yeah, the deity of death somehow is residing, you have all the time this quality there, this jacket there, this quality in the house. So the only thing is you can not go through the southern entrance and close this door. That's the only thing you can do. There's no possibility that you put a little yantra or little drawing there, or make some chanting that will have no influence. The structure of the building is not good. So we don't want to have a house with a southern entrance. Yeah.
So it's very simple. Make a new door on the east.
Exactly. That's the only way. And just to the speaker, the question before, what we always recommend is then that we sell this building, yeah, and with the money we build a new Vastu house. And so it's good maybe to renovate the building and then sell it, yeah. And like this, you can have the pleasure to stay for a longer time for the rest of your life in a nice Vastu house if you build it from scratch. That is the recommendation from Maharishi, what you always said.
Thank you. And another question is the difference between the Vastu and Feng Shui.
Yeah, here seriously, I do not so much about Feng Shui, and the reason is why there are so many books, yeah, there are so many teachings, so many directions. So I didn't really understand what the idea of Feng Shui is. If you look at some books, one is recommending this, the other is recommending this. So it's not like a real scientific way, yeah. And this had been that some Indian merchants, some trade people, they were traveling together with pandits from India to China, and they brought like this, they brought the ideas of Vastu to China, but there they didn't practice all these Vedic ceremonies, and then the knowledge got mixed up and was adjusted to local weather circumstances or local landscapes. And like this, it's not 100% in tune with natural law. Yeah, that's why I didn't look very much into that. But
Yes.
I see in the chat here, there's often the question about small tiny houses. Of course, Vastu can also build tiny houses. That is the trend of these days. At the moment, I'm building 4 or 5 of these tiny houses. And it's a very good way to live in Vastu. They could have any size. It could be 1 room, it could be 1 room with a bigger kitchen and toilet and a separated office area. It can have a loft to the upper floor. All that can be done with Vastu. But what we have, we always have, for example, a Vedic plinth of 48 centimeter height. And like the human body is also divided in different proportions. He has feet, he has legs, he has a body, he has the head. Like this, the Vastu house is also divided. The Vedic plinth are the feet, and the Kalash, for example, is the crown, the head is the roof. Yeah, all these divisions of the human scale of the human body we also have in a Vastu house. That is why a tiny house also needs a Vedic plinth of 48 centimeter height. But what we have, sometimes you have a tiny house with wheels, so you can move it around. Yeah, so you can have it 4 or 5 years on this place, then you move to another place, then you just take the trailer and ship it somewhere else. But then this lower area with the roof is covered with a Vedic plinth, that it also looks stable, that it is stable, grounded on the earth. It can be, as this in the chat, there's one photo of a contemporary house, exactly like this a Vastu house can look if you add this Vedic plinth. It's very nice, I like it. And we give it Vedic measurements, outside dimensions, Vedic heights. We put the entrance door at the best spot, yeah, at the east and the not in the center. It's a little bit shifted towards the north, there where Maha-Indra resides, this Vedic deity. Yeah, the toilet could be placed in the tiny house in the northwest. Yeah, northwest is that place, which anyway is not the very best, so the toilet can be placed there. But don't hesitate to call me or send me an email And like site evaluation or first talk, yeah, is acquisition. It doesn't cost you anything. Please feel happy to contact me. Yes, and hello, I was wondering if you are helping to design tiny houses. Yes, of course, that's my profession, and I did several, so I can show you them. You can take one of these, of course, yes. Yeah, Franco?
Yes.
So
Yes.
are there more questions?
Yes, one question was what is most important, the entrance from the east to the house or to the Vastu place on which house is built?
Certainly, the entrance into the building from the east is most important, but you also should have an eastern entrance to the Vastu. And no land is really properly oriented from the beginning, or maybe the road is on the south side, yeah, and that is why we put a Vastu there. So if the road and the entrance to the land is from the south, it's so fine, but then you walk around on the east side and enter the Vastu from the east. Like this, you have then made a land auspicious, because you mark it with the Vastu fence and enter from the east, even if the road is towards the south. Such knowledge you will all get when you do a Vastu consultation with us.
Yes, great.
Oops.
Yes, so thank you very much, Christian, for the beautiful presentation of Maharishi Stapatya Veda. Great science, and we are very much obliged to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who actually rediscovered that complete connection of those applied sciences from the Veda as Ayurveda, and again correlated with its source, which is the source of the whole universe, the source of pure consciousness, and all the principles, all intelligence which structures the life from that level to be applied practically in that science, like this in the science of Stapatya Veda. So I recommend very highly everybody to contact Christian if you have any questions, and you will get real proper guidance in that direction to have a nice building house for the living. Thank you very much, Christian, once again, and we hope see you some next time.
It was a very great pleasure that you invited me for this series of lectures. Thank you very much, Yatranko, and
Yes.
also for all the listeners that you took your time and listened to that, and hope all of you can live in a perfect Vastu soon, if you're interested.
Yes, and I thank everybody present, and wish everybody beautiful day, and how to say, to feel that connectedness with that infinite field of life all the time, and then we are in a proper establishment in our life.
I have the feeling that time is changing so quickly, and positive things are coming up, and it's more easy to build Vastu houses in the future. Very good.
Yes.
For you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the audience.
And
Thank you,
yes.
Yatranko.
Thank you.